ladies. It is our very first podcast. Welcome to It's Like That, where we are going to break down all things real estate in Madison, Wisconsin, and also have some fun facts for you each time. We'll do a brief introduction of who we are. I'm Jannea Wood. I work with Start Company Realtors. I've been doing this for about 10 years now in the Madison area and love it.
My name is Kolakowski. I work for City RE. I'll be 5 years in real estate in October. I just really like helping people, and affordable housing is really my jam.
Tiffany, Tobias. I will be celebrating 13 years working in real estate this year, and I'm with Start Company Realtors. I absolutely love it. I came from the corporate world, and this is literally the best job ever.
Cool. All right. And so what's today's episode going to be about?
We're going to talk about people who are home shopping based off of their animals. So we're pretty excited about that because we all have animals of our own. We know how that is. And we have some fun facts, tips, and tricks and things that we've seen out in the market.
And probably won't be surprised if episodes sort of go down the road of all things dogs every once in a while, or I think there was research about eating too much cheese is like doing coke.
Yeah.
Like, we might have some information about that for fun facts, but we'll always try to bring it back to real estate in some way.
Yeah.
So I think we can just move into the market facts, and we'll do that real quick first and kind of see where that takes us.
Absolutely.
So an interesting stat that I saw this week was we've been looking at the average percentage that is spent over list price for the last several years. We've been keeping track of that. And in 2022, the average amount over list was over 5% in this time of the market, spring season, summer season, when things are highest. But what we've been seeing that's interesting is that every year since then, it's come down. So 2023 was about 3% on average over list price. 2024 was a little over 2%, and right now we're seeing it's under 1.5%. I don't know if you guys are experiencing that with your buyers and sellers, but I think that's good news for buyers. I think it's somewhat of a shock to sellers who've been used to just putting anything out there at any price and, having multiple offers.
Yeah, I mean, I love it for buyers because, I mean, I think it's a little bit easier to set some expectations. I mean, I think when you're talking about those numbers in 2022, like, we couldn't even set expectations for them because of how much things were going over list price. I don't mind it for sellers. I mean, my opinion with the sellers is we kind of have to do our job up front to set those, reasonable expectations. Sometimes it's going to go crazy, and we know that, and sometimes it's not. But it's keeping things more manageable. I think it makes our job a little bit easier to set those expectations for both buyers and sellers up front.
Yeah, I definitely think it's pockety out there. We're seeing things still get heavily in competition. Recently in competition with 5 to 7 offers, but then you're seeing things sit on the other side as well. So it just kind of depends on, is it a condo? Is it single family? Where is it located? What are key components? And like Tiffany said, hitting those expectations with buyers and sellers up front. I think the interest rates are definitely coming into play as well. We're starting to settle in with those, be where they are at. But they're a little bit higher than they were in 2022. They're more normal now, I think is fair to say. And so we're seeing, I think people think that we enjoy it when these bidding wars are happening and things are very crazy. It's like, for me personally, I want to see people get the home that they want. And so I am excited. This is a good time for buyers right now.
I just like seeing a more balanced market. And I feel like we're somewhat moving in that direction. I mean, when I started 13 years ago, it was definitely a seller's market. Or I shouldn't even say that. It was, things were still in the market maybe like 3 to 6 months, but you were still able to get something. And you weren't always... You're getting somewhat close to list price, but I mean, it wasn't necessarily gangbusters going crazy over. And so now I feel like, I just like my job better when it's a little bit more balanced, right? Because it makes it a little bit more fun to be able to do exactly what you said, get them the house that they want, or have at least a better chance.
Buyers have been through so much. I mean, they look like they've gone through a boxing match after the last few years, just of writing. I think I had someone who wrote 8 offers before we got one, and they're exhausted and they want to give up, and you have to keep cheering them on. So even now, I think one of our favorite answers as a realtor is it depends. Like you were mentioning, it's hyper local. They could be still in competition, but there's at least a better chance that they might have a realistic chance of getting a home that they're interested in.
I think something key to mention too is that doesn't mean that the prices are falling. It just means that the bidding wars are not as high. I've had conversations in the last couple of days where people are like, I'm going to wait for the market to drop. And in Madison Metro, just historically since 1977, we haven't seen that. We've seen appreciation on average 5.2% year over year. And so this doesn't necessarily mean prices are dropping, but just that you're able to get things either at list, a little bit under, not a lot, or just the bidding wars aren't as crazy. We're just always going to be a hot spot, I believe, just because of being a government center, education, also to technology, and just all the hubs that are around Madison, I think. So that's I think an important thing to know.
It is. Yeah, I don't want sellers to think prices are falling. They're not. We just have to be more realistic and set expectations, like you said.
Yeah, we don't want buyers to think that they're falling either, because it doesn't make sense for them to continue to keep waiting for a dropout in our market. I mean, I know you guys watch the national news as well all the time, and it feels like there's a lot of like, oh my gosh, what's happening in a lot of real estate markets across the country, and we're not feeling that, you know. So our local people here in, you know, anywhere in South Central Wisconsin have to understand, especially here in Dane County, that, you know, we are not seeing that. And so if they hold off for another year or two expecting that to happen, they're actually just losing a ton of equity.
And it can cost them.
Yeah, it's really going to cost them.
Right. Even if minimal appreciation is 3% a year, they're way better off buying now than they are 2 years from now.
I agree. Well, let's move on to our topic. I know that we're all excited. I believe children are very important. However, we all are dog moms. And
I'm very proud of being dog moms.
And all have elderly dogs at this point.
Yes, right? It's very true. And so a trend that we're noticing here in Madison, but also too nationwide, NAR put an article out in August of 2024 that real estate professionals are figuring out ways to highlight pet-friendly property features to entice consumers. So what are you all seeing out there that, you know, with your buyers, that when they're looking at a house, how are they taking this into consideration?
I know a lot of my buyers, first-time home buyers of the millennial age, they have dogs, so they're looking for a yard. Most of them are. Now, I can talk about condos and why those are good for dogs too, but that's one of the first things they say when we meet is they want a yard for their dog, and that's going to vary in size, I think, for everybody. Not everyone needs a fence. Depends on how good their dogs are or how well behaved they are. But most of my clients have dogs and not kids, so I spend a lot of time looking at backyards to see if they're going to work out.
That's funny, because when I moved into my current home 2 years ago, I thought for sure that we didn't need a fence. Because I was like, my dogs are 12 years old, you know, they're getting older, they're fine, I'm gonna be able to control them, and I am now putting in a fence that I'm putting in piece by piece, because they take off. Now they've gotten used to the neighborhood, right? So now they feel comfortable kind of getting out and about. So I would say a fence too. I find a lot of first-time home buyers, and even, you know, people that are buying their second home that have dogs, or that know that they're going to have dogs their whole life, like someone like me, like if something happens to my dog, I'm going to get another one. They want to look at those properties that are already come with, you know, the yard fenced in, where they can let them out.
I'm just giggling because I'll be on the phone with Tiffany and you'll hear her be like, Edith, get back here. So, you know, fencing is a priority.
Well, and she's a Great Dane. So, you know, the problem is that she's 12 and she's like the most gentlest dog in the whole world. And people say that, you know, about a lot of large breeds. But if she's coming at you when you're walking down the street with your stroller and your baby, I mean, these people are taking off. I'm like, don't hurt yourself. She's not going to hurt you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think one of the most rewarding parts of my job is when I get a picture after my clients have moved in and they send a picture of the dog, whether it's in the backyard or it's at the window, you know, that overlooks something that's at eye level for the dog. I just love that. I don't know if you guys ever get sent any.
No, it makes me happy. I think, too, just from the listing side, people do look at fences as a huge plus. most of the time it is for animals, but also too some people would just like a place that is confined for their children to play as well. And that lot size, that structure, how that kind of works out, I've seen come into play specifically this last year. The size and the shape, is there enough land for the dog to run? And so I think fencing is number one. Question for you, what is kind of another animal thing that you've seen like in the house that people have oohed and awed over, or something that you yourself was like, whoa?
The dog food bowls that pull out from the island.
Oh, yeah.
If I could do that, I would. I mean, it looks nice. You can put it away. Because otherwise, they're sitting out usually in the kitchen, or you might bump it as you're walking by. Now, I have a very nice, dish set that matches my dining room table. But I do love the idea of just pushing it away.
Yeah. I think... I was in a house, it was probably at the beginning of spring, and it was actually on a farm, right? So I don't know necessarily that it was 4 dogs for sure, it was vacant. But they had like a wash bay out towards their backyard, It's
People
almost like
that.
a mudroom for the dogs.
Yeah.
Like, I think that would be a saving grace for everything in my house. Like my floors, my carpet, and certainly my furniture in my bed.
Yeah. No, for sure. I think the best one that I saw was people usually have like their primary bedroom, and then they might have like a bedroom as an office, or they might have a bedroom for guests or children. And so we opened up this bedroom door, and I thought it was going to be one of those, and it literally was a whole bedroom dedicated to their dog. So they had like a couch in there, the dog had all their toys, they had the dog crate was in there, and I just had never seen like a whole bedroom. But my buyers were also dog lovers, and they really appreciated it. I was like, have you ever seen anything like this? And they're like, why haven't we seen anything like this before? So that was kind of unique, I think. But the dog wash station is always a huge hit for dog lovers.
Yeah, I've seen that in new construction, and a lot of apartments actually have added things like that in downtown Madison. I'll see that that's part of it. And they have
like the amenities?
For the amenities, exactly. And the Ovation downtown, I think, even has like a dog run with the fake grass that you can let your dog out onto. So, I mean, places around town are trying to come up with ideas for dog lovers. And the article, one of the things I loved from the article was the term barkitecture, which is kind of what this is referring to. And I would say in my house, barkitecture isn't, as cool as the push-in dish right now. It is all of Rufus's stuffed animals lining the sharp corners and the floor, so he doesn't fall and hurt himself. So that's our barkitecture right now.
Well, floors make a big difference.
Yeah.
Because weren't you saying you got Rufus some
socks with the grippies
socks?
on the bottom? Yeah, so he can now walk on the hardwood floors. Things to think about with an older dog.
Stairs, all those types of things. They make a really big difference. My husband Jason and I always say, like, we pay the mortgage for our dogs.
Yes.
Like, if I come home and either of my dogs is sleeping on the couch, I don't disturb them. I'm like, okay, well, when you get up, I will sit down. Same thing in the morning. I'm like, oh, you want to come up? Come on up. Come into my bed. Like, every room in their house, in our house, is their house.
I think
way more than mine.
It's interesting, too, because not to leave the cat lovers out, I recently have some buyers I went back to their condo with them, and they were explaining to me the incredible, like, wall kind of. They were doing, like, almost like shelving so the cats could, like, run across.
Like a climbing wall.
Yes, it was awesome. And so I headed to Home Depot to build this kind of art, but architecture that the cats could kind of climb across. And we've seen catios, which are cat patios.
Yeah, which I forgot to reminded me that's what that was.
Yeah.
It was like on the porch.
Yeah.
And it was an enclosed cube of varying sizes. Am I remembering this correctly?
Yeah.
Okay. So the cat got to just be outside and enjoy life, but
not escape. Or have things attack it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we're not cat people, but we will try to include cats in our conversation occasionally.
We're not cat people. We're just obsessed with our dogs.
Yeah, so, all right, Rufus will come up. He's my Wheaten Terrier Poodle mix who's 14 and a half years old. We should probably say what kind of dogs we have.
Yeah, so I have Edith. She's my Great Dane. She's going to be 12 this year. And then I also have Kevin, who we rescued from South Carolina. He was in super terrible shape when we rescued him, and to be honest, I did not think that we were going to have him for very long. But we have now had him almost 3 years. He's going backwards in age. He likes to take off and do all the fun things, and he's very rowdy, and I'm loving it. So
I have Millie. She's a wonder phenomenon as well. She was rescued from Houston, Texas, and then I didn't think she was going to make it to 6 years old just because of all the medical issues she's had. She was studied by Colorado State University and then transferred over here to UW, but she's been able to stay out of the UW system for quite a couple of years now, and she'll be 8 this year. But awesome. Yeah, it's just fun when your dogs don't want to walk anymore, and you have Jannea like teach you tips and tricks, and then Tiffany's dogs have been through some medical craziness too, so we usually say that we work to pay for our vet bills.
They're expensive.
Food, the vet bills, the treats.
Right. Yeah. And so other things to consider then when you're looking for a place with a dog, stairs, you brought that up.
Yep.
I got to give a shout out for condos too. So things people might not know is you can have dogs at most condos. There will be weight limits maybe. I find that outside of the city of Madison might be a little less of a weight limit, 25 to 30 pounds, but downtown you can have bigger dogs.
So I live
curious about that.
Yeah, and I live in a condo too. Millie, on a good day, is 68 pounds, but she is under 75. So it was really important when I was doing my home search to make sure that my dog is my family member, could come with me. Mm-hmm. So there are certain condos that do allow for the larger dogs, but Jannea is completely right. Most of them are 25 to 35. But if there are condos with larger limits, and that's where we're happy to help find that out for people too.
And find the outside space too.
Well, yeah, I was going to say downtown, I think the reason probably that they allow a little bit more larger dogs is because of the walkability, right?
Yeah.
Don't you think? I mean, like, we have this little opening that's on cement, and so there's nothing, you can get out, you can walk, you have that green space, around you, and people are a lot more active, so they're not keeping your dog necessarily.
Right. Or they feel like they're closed in and they can't get out. You have to be active with your dog and take them, go out with them.
If they want to be active.
If they want to be active. Well, that's another good reason, consider a first floor.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on a first floor, and it's great just to be able to, walk right outside and not have to take an elevator up 10 flights to bring your dog down. So,
yeah, that's
some
nice.
things we can help you consider when looking for a place.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like that. So what do we got coming up for next time?
Next time, I think, is going to be a good topic. We're going to talk about what to do when the weather is warm outside, hot spots in Madison. So I know we're all pretty excited about that topic.
Yes.
Of course, we'll have more market facts as well, because real estate is what we do and love. So thanks for joining us for our first ever podcast. Really appreciate you out. And then if you need anything, just let us know.